Welcome back to Combat Sports Weekly. Joining us now is a flyweight fighting out of Luttrell-Yee MMA, Jordan Espinosa. How you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Yeah, you're preparing for a fight July 18th. Feels like you haven't fought in a while, maybe because we're used to seeing you just fight like back-to-back weeks, man.
No, that's true. Last year I had 6 fights, 7 including a boxing fight. My last fight this year was a boxing fight, and that was March 20th in Arizona. And but my last MMA fight was February 25th or 28th in Pennsylvania. And so yeah, I just took some time off, healed up, got to visit some family, and so now I'm glad to be back in the cage.
There was a span, I think, was it last year, where you fought in 3 consecutive weeks?
Yeah, so
it's crazy.
It was. I mean, it was exciting at the time because I was like, oh, sweet, I'm gonna fight 3 times in 21 days, and I'm gonna come out 3-0. Fortunately, that's not what happened. I ended up going 1-2 in those fights. But yeah, no, it was exciting and fortunate that I had a good team back in Ohio that were able to get me fights. A lot of times it's not the case out here. So.
Yeah. What's that like to just bounce around? I mean, you're kind of, until recently, kind of like a nomad. You've been training in different states, learning from different people. So what is it that you like about being able to travel that much and going to other gyms?
Well, not only just being a sponge and taking everything in from all the different coaches, but even just seeing the different cultures of MMA in the Midwest, in the East Coast, as opposed to how it may be out here in Southwest or even West Coast. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. I loved the training. My record wasn't exactly, I had some losses when I was gone, but I wouldn't take back any of it. All of it was a great experience for me, and wouldn't change it for the world. It's a great experience.
You might remember recently you defeated Rafael Barata Freitas, and it was a pretty big upset. I think you were 4-1 underdog in that fight. And what did that do for, I guess, your career? Obviously, it's pretty recent, but are there times where fights are falling out because you defeated such a top prospect?
Yeah and no. I feel like if Damasio Page wasn't on the card and he didn't have like that crazy knockout and all the notoriety from that card, maybe I would have got a little bit more notice. But yeah, no. If anything. If it didn't do anything for people noticing me more, it allowed me to have more confidence in myself, and it just showed me, yeah, I do belong, and I'm a top prospect, unsigned prospect that's not in the UFC yet, but I know I'll get there.
Yeah.
Do you have? I always like to fight the fighters. I always like to ask the fighters. Do you have trouble bouncing back from boxing and MMA?
Yeah and no. I had my first professional boxing fight last July. I wasn't really training with the boxing coach, and so I went out there like it was an MMA fight, and I gassed after the second round.
Totally different, right?
For my second boxing fight, though, I was training with Juan Romero at Duke City Boxing, and we went back to straight boxing, and that helped a lot, and it also shows in my striking now that I'm back to MMA.
Right.
So initially it was bad, but even still, boxing and MMA are 2 different sports, and most people probably don't realize that if they see just an MMA guy boxing in an MMA fight as opposed to 2 boxers, high-level boxers going at it in a boxing ring.
You're 100% right. That's cool to hear. Yeah.
Awesome. Now, you're originally from, I guess you could say, Albuquerque. You grew up here. You went to West Mesa. Tell us about some of your combat sports background there at West Mesa.
Yeah, no, I moved here when I was 13. I went to West Mesa all 4 years. I wrestled under Lenny Lovato. I was a state champion wrestler my sophomore year. I took 3rd my junior year, and I took 2nd my senior year, which is kind of a sore spot. But I won some regional and smaller national promotions in wrestling. But if it wasn't for wrestling, I would not be fighting at all. If I didn't know I don't know how some people go straight into MMA without any kind of background, because if I hadn't wrestled, forget it, I would not be a fighter. I'm not even a fighter at heart. I didn't fight when I was a kid. Physically, I didn't fight. There's stuff that I went through that I had to fight through, but if I didn't have wrestling as a background, yeah, you wouldn't see me here today. So,
we mentioned earlier that you're in the Lutrell-Yee camp. Talk about how you've developed there with him. You mentioned that you were just a wrestler, you weren't really a fighter, and then you come and obviously learn from a lot of people, but specifically now where you're at, now where you call home, what have those guys done to some of your skills?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know, but when I first got into MMA 6.5 years ago, my first striking was with Coach Yi, and so before I knew how to throw a jab, before I knew how to throw a cross or anything, I started with Coach Ray, and so now things have kind of come full circle. Where after 5 years since I left there the first time, they took me in after my fight with Barata, and they just treated me like family. Coach Lutrell, I can't say enough nice things about him. He's a great guy. I don't know if he gets enough credit for how good of a coach he really is. And no, it's been awesome. We have great training partners. It's a great gym, great environment, and I wouldn't change it for anything.
You're a hybrid fighter too. Can you relate to a lot of what he's saying?
Yeah, it was really cool to hear the difference between boxing and MMA. You know, like those are two completely different sports. You know, and I didn't. In the beginning, I didn't think it was a big deal either. Like, oh, just take a boxing match, no big deal.
Yeah.
And now it was like I changed everything for a boxing camp. I trained at a boxing gym. You know, it was completely different. So that's really cool. Do you want boxing matches, or do you prefer, you know,
So,
if it comes, whatever?
I really do like boxing. I love it. I love the sweet science. Do I want to pursue boxing as a career? No. But when you're a little low on money, haven't had an MMA fight, it's a lot easier to take boxing fights because you're like, and a lot of times they'll offer you good money to fight a boxer that's been boxing for 10 years.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, I love training boxing, and I probably would take a couple more boxing fights because I feel like my boxing's actually decent now.
Right.
Whereas before I was kind of just doing it for some extra money. But no, MMA is definitely where I want to pursue my career and where I plan on moving forward.
Yeah, recently you called out another flyweight that's based out of Albuquerque, or at least Chicago, or spends some of his time here. And Nick Urso, you know, he was calling for a UFC fight, and you said, well, you know, I don't know about that. Fight me first. So what made you want to call him out like that?
No, it kind of started when he fought my teammate, I think back in December, Josh Montoya. And I don't know, he didn't look impressive to me. And then a lot of people were saying, oh, he's next in the UFC. And I was like, the guy has one win in a year and a half, and it wasn't even an impressive win. I felt like it was mediocre. I felt like he's fought mediocre guys. I feel like all the guys I've fought, and for the most part, have been a lot better than his competition. I don't want to say, I do think he's talented. I think he's really talented. But I don't think he's a better, well-rounded MMA fighter than I am, and I think I could expose a lot of his weaknesses.
Is that a fight you think you can get here locally?
Oh, yeah. Well, if I don't, I'm not going to hold off for it. I got a couple fights scheduled already. Got one in July and then one in September. I mean, if it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, then oh well.
And the July fight, where is it taking place so people could go check you out?
It's in at the Las Cruces Convention Center in Las Cruces, New Mexico against Adam McGurk.
And that's going to be July 18th, right?
July 18th.
Where can people catch you on Twitter as we wrap up the interview here?
They can catch me on Twitter at StateChamp103. And then same thing on Facebook, Facebook.com/StateChamp103.
Yeah, Jordan, thanks very much for coming on. Make sure you guys check him out. He's, you know, developing a pretty good win streak here, so potentially see him in the big show someday. Jordan Espinosa, we'll catch you guys after the break.